Hello everybody, sorry about those technical difficulties today. Here is your 1.3 agenda. Okay, we're going to continue with the second type of analysis, which is rates of change, two ways. I'm going to show you really quickly by hand, and then I'm also going to show you in sheets. Now your homework is going to be to add the rates of change analysis to the existing piecewise regression sheet that you are already working on for homework. Okay, this information has already been updated in Google, but what I'm going to go through now are the ways to do this quickly by hand, which will be a review, and then the part that's not a review will be us walking through the formulas in sheets. All right, so there is a slideshow that you need to have open, which is attached to your Google Classroom, and then you're going to need to have your notebooks here. Okay, so we're going to do 1.3 scatter plot analysis continued, and we're going to go ahead and add a second type of analysis, which is rates of change, which is going to be slopes. We have one type of slope that we're going to look at, and that is an average rate of change between x equals a and x equals b. Usually, this is a start and an end point to your data. Now I abbreviate average rate of change with AROC for the acronym. Average rate of change. Okay, now which is slope between 2 points. So notice I said x equals a and x equals b. F of b minus f of a over b minus a. Sometimes we think of slope as y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, or rise over run. Go ahead and pause and write if you need to. I'm going to move to the next type of slope or rate of change, and that would be the greatest or the least rate of change. Okay. Usually this greatest would be the steepest part. Okay, now a rate of change is still slope between 2 points. Okay, these just happen to be two inside points, not necessarily the start and the end point. Okay, now I'm going to say that the greatest is typically the steepest. Okay, and I'll go steep as positive or negative slope. And the least is zero slope, the closest to zero. Okay, so we're going to do two examples, one of them by hand and one of them in Excel. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do the Dollar Tree example, okay, in our notes here. So I've got the data. All right, so I'm going to just scooch this over. We are only going to be looking at the Dollar Tree, so that is rows right here. Notice that the data was conveniently relabeled for us. 2005 is 5. All right. And question A says, what is the average rate of change? So our average rate of change from 2005 to 2009, let's go ahead and set that up. We've got our formula there to look up. So average rate of change, so I need to go ahead and plug in my points. So I'm looking at 2009. That's 5231.2 minus 3393.9. Now here, if you do have a calculator, now would be the time to use it. Okay. There we go. See if I can get this in here. There we go. 5231.2 minus 3.9. Okay, divided by 9 minus 7. Okay. Go ahead and write that down. Let's make sure I don't have any typos. Oh, I do have a typo. I see it. Let's try that again. 3393.9. Okay. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and write that. 459,325. Okay, and I'm going to write a sentence explaining this. On average, Dollar Tree had 459. Now I'm going to say approximately $1 million sales each year from 2005 to 2009. Now some of those years were more, some of those years were less, but on average, that's how much they went up by. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the next question. Okay, question B says, what is the greatest and the least rate? Okay, so we need to find the greatest and least. So I'm looking at my slide for the question here. Okay, greatest and least. Okay, greatest and least rate. And this particular question is saying for 1 year span. Okay, so notice I've got 2005. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a table for myself. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm going to jot down these points here. 3, 3, 9, 3, 9, 3, 9, 6, 9, 4, 4, 2, 4, 2, 6, 4, 6, 4, 4, 9, 5, 2, 3, 1.2. Okay, and then I'm going to make a table of slopes. Okay, X and rate of change. And I'm going to do from 5 to 6. Those are the 2 points that I'm going to do the slope with. All right. So what would that look like? Okay, that is going to be 3969.4 minus 3393.9 over 6 minus 5. So let's go ahead and type that in. All right. Three. Okay. Well, it ends up being divided by 1. Okay. So I'm just going to make a note that that's positive because it's increasing. And now I'm going to do the same thing for each of the next set of 2 years. So this one's going to be 6 to 7. Now notice that the endpoint 5, there's only 1 point with that. Okay, now I don't necessarily have to write this each time, but I am going to go ahead and show you. Okay, so 4242.6 minus 3969.4 divide by 1. So this is positive 273.2. And then I'm going to do 7 to 8. Okay. 644.9 minus 4242.6. Okay. 402.3. And then the last one, 8 to 9. Yeah, by hand is a little bit slow and a little bit tedious. I agree. Which is why I'm also going to show you how to do this in the computer. Right, 5231.2 minus. Okay. All right. So, greatest and least rate. So I can see from each of these things that I have the greatest rate is right here at 586. Okay. Okay. And the least rate is here. So I'll go ahead and just highlight that just so I've got it labeled. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is use the rates of change. We're going to use them to make a prediction. Okay, to make a prediction. So let's go ahead and see what that question says. Now, the nice thing about this is it is an opinion. It's an opinion, guys. You have 3 different rates of change you can use. Average, greatest, least. Okay? You can use any of them. Any rate of change to make your prediction. Okay, now it's asking me to predict for 2010. So in 2010, okay, I think the sales will be. Okay, so we have a couple choices. The first choice is I can start in 2009, okay? 5231.2, okay? This is what I have in 2009. What are we going to add to it? Now, I could add the average rate of change. Okay, my average was 459.32. The second thing I could do is I could maybe go for a low estimate, and I could add the least rate of change, which is 273.2. Or maybe I go for a higher estimate, and I put in the greatest rate of change. It is up to you what you would like to do. It is an opinion, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to pick the average, okay? It's right in between those two numbers. I think that's a reasonable thing to do. So in 2010, the sales will be 5231.2 plus 9.32. $2 million. Those are my choices. All right, guys, that is by hand. Woo, tiring. Let's go ahead and we're going to use the 99-cent store data, and we're going to do the exact same thing, A, B, C, using sheets. Okay? Go ahead and open up a sheets. Okay, so I'm in a blank sheet. The first thing I'm going to do is title this 1.3 scatter analysis rates of change. Okay, and I'm going to transfer the 99-cent store data here, and then I'm going to go ahead and do full screen on the Excel. Okay, so let's go ahead and we have year and $1 million in sales. Okay. All right. 1023.6. All right, we're just transferring the table of data here, but I'm doing it in a vertical fashion. Okay. There is our data. Now we have a couple things we have to do, right? We have to find the average rate of change. So this is question A, average rate of change. All right, how do I do this? Well, I'm going to go ahead and type in a formula. Okay, so I'm going to click here in cell D2, and I'm going to type equals. Now we know that slope is y2, so I'm going to go ahead and click on cell B3, and notice that it highlights, and then it's telling me the value that it's choosing, minus B2. Notice that it's highlighting it, and I'm going to close my parentheses.
My brother
Divided
really
by
special rock
parentheses.
Let me have it. What he painted, and the rock was high.
Okay, A3 minus A2. Notice that the 3's 3, 2, 3, 2. The order is the same, and I'm going to press very carefully enter. Okay, and let's go ahead and put a unit on that. $1 million sales per year. Oh, $1 million. It's the dollar sign. Here you go. Okay, now let's do the next one. So notice this one put the first 2 points together. So let's go ahead and say this was 5 to 6. Okay, now let's do the year 6 to 7. All right. You have to start your formula. You can click in this bar up here, or you can go ahead equals. Okay, 6 to 7, parentheses. So we're going to start with B4, which is the y coordinate here, minus B3, close it, divide it, parentheses, A4 minus A3. Enter. Okay, notice that when I go back, I click on this cell. If you want to see what numbers are highlighted, go click on this formula bar up here, and it will highlight the numbers. Notice this was slope between 6 and 7. Those are the set of points that are highlighted. Okay, so now I'm going to press enter. Be careful about clicking when you have a formula. Press enter, and then we'll go ahead and click into this cell, and we're going to do 7 to 8, right? Those are the 2 years we're going to use. Equals 7 and 8. Okay, this one minus this one. Divide A5 minus A4. Notice that each time those boxes, looks like, oh, I forgot a parentheses. It'll try to tell you if you forget something. Okay, notice that each time those boxes are just sliding down. Notice we have the first 4. And then I have the next 4. They slide down 1 row. They keep sliding down. Okay, 8-9. That'll be the last one. Okay, equals A6 minus A5. Okay, and now I have all of these things filled in here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on this units, this labeling, and I don't want to have to type it every time, so I could copy and paste. But if you take your cursor to this square right here, the bottom right square, and you move your cursor until it turns into this plus sign, and you click and drag. See those dotted lines? It's going to fill or copy the formula for you. Okay, and just so that this is easy to see, I'm going to go ahead and put a box. I'm going to highlight it. See that? Highlight it. And I'm going to put a box around it. So I'm going to go up to my formatting, and you see this thing that says borders. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to make my border blue, and I'm going to make it thicker so it's easy to see, and then I'm going to click here. I want a border around it. That way I can find it very easily. Okay, that was A, average rate of change. Now I need to do B. Okay, B. Greatest. Haha. That was silly of me. This was greatest and least rate of change. Right? Nice thing about this, I can just whoop. Okay, let's go ahead and actually label it. Here is the greatest rate of change, and this one was the least rate of change. Okay, now we'll go ahead and we'll do this. Average rate of change. Well, that would be between 2005 and 2009. All right. 9. Okay, here we go. Average rate of change equals, okay, the last point minus the first point, B6 minus B2, parentheses, 9 minus 5. Enter. Okay, and I'm going to say $1 million sales per year from 2005 to 2009. Okay, so every year the sales went up on average 82.9. I'm going to go ahead and put a box around this one, okay, and I will make this one bright green. Okay, this time I filled it. That's a little hard to see, so I'm going to go back and put that here. I really just want the border of bright green. There we go. Okay. Now I have part C. Make a prediction for 2010. Okay. In 2009, there were equals this much right here. I'm going to press enter. Okay. Now, I can do a couple things here to make my prediction. All right. I'm going to say average rate of change equals, okay, what was the average rate of change? It's this number right here. Okay. I'm going to put the least rate of change equals, and I'm going to click over here in this next box, and I'm just going to go up here and I'm going to click it. There's the least rate of change in D5. And then I'm going to go up here and click greatest rate of change equals, and then I'm going to click the next cell over. I'm just copying my information here. Okay, there you go. So when you click on each of these numbers, you want them to be linked to the cell where you first entered that data. Okay, enter. Whenever you see something highlighted, you always want to press enter to get the highlighting to come off. Okay, so the average rate is right here. Got it. Okay, the least rate is right here. Okay, got it. All right, let's add these things together. So what prediction do we want to use? Okay, in 2010, I predict what? Well, okay. I guess we could go ahead and add 2010 here. What two numbers do we want to add together? I think I might want to add this one, right? And I still like the average. I like the average, something in the middle. I'm going to go ahead and add those two things together. Okay, equals this number plus, shift equals, plus this number. Okay, there we go. I predict $1438.1 million of sales because I added the AROC to the sales in 2009. All right, guys, there is your how to do this in Excel. Average rate, greatest rate, and making a prediction. So I'm going to go ahead and put a box around this so that I can find it later. I will make it red. You don't have to make them different colors. I just like to. That way it's easy to find the results. Thank you for listening. Hopefully we will avoid technical difficulties in the future.